The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
We really need a victory tune here to kick off this week here. It's the month of June, and that means that training camp is next month. Football season starts next month.
Wow,
so
crazy.
we kick off June. That's right. And this is Mick Shots, and it's going to be about the hottest day going this off season. It's up over 90 degrees today. I just looked ahead. They got voluntary OTAs this week, mandatory minicamp next week, and in the long-range forecast I just looked at, most of the temperatures on days they'll be working out will be less than 90 degrees the rest of the way. So here it is. This is the day you whip them into shape for training camp.
Important day.
That's right. That's
So
right.
important.
Make them sweat.
That's right. Before we do anything else, a shout-out to Producer Supreme, Chris Beam, the coach of the Consolation Champion 8-and-under baseball team. His son Logan, one of the star players on that
Go
team.
ahead, Logan.
And what's the name of that team, Producer Supreme?
It's the Wolf Pack.
The Wolf Pack.
Yeah.
Win the Consolation Championship 8-and-under baseball. Congratulations.
Frisco, yeah.
I'm sure there were
Frisco.
some crucial moments where the coach, Chris Beam, also Coach Supreme. I'm sure you made some very critical moves during the game.
Are you the third base coach?
Actually, Bill, you know I am.
I figured.
And
Got
all I
that
do is
windmill going.
Just
You wave him
get
off.
that windmill. One guy was like,
Waving him
one guy was
home.
the third base coach. I'm like, yeah, you ain't cutting it. You have to make sure the umpire sends them back. That's your goal, right?
That's right.
Right? At eight,
exactly
that was the crucial moment. That moment right there. That's when you guys won.
Well, the final score of that championship game, which we were playing an inferior opponent, actually, 20-5.
All right.
Hey,
Well, that's of course it was an inferior, but you're in the consolation bracket.
Well,
of a six-man
actually
tournament.
they were the fourth place overall team, so they were actually pretty good, and they just did not come to play that.
Well, where were you guys ranked?
We're like 7 or 8.
Oh,
So we
wow. So an upset.
So
yeah,
definitely
so
see the-
yeah, we were the visitors. So
All right,
yeah.
all right.
Very good.
All right. Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
So,
Hey,
there
they
you
used
go.
to
And
play.
he gets to come to work with me today. Isn't that great?
All right.
Hey,
boys.
what's up, Logan?
Very good. We expect pictures by the end of the show. You got an hour to come up with some pictures for us.
Okay.
I mean, they used to play the third.
Not of yourself. If we want to see that.
They used to play in the NCAA tournament. Remember the third place game?
I don't remember that, but
This
I'll,
is like
This is like the NIT.
The two.
Okay.
There you go.
You go to the
Chris.
Final Four, and the two teams that lost played each.
in the NIT.
No, the NCAA tournament.
Baseball.
I remember it in the
Third place
NIT.
game. No,
Basketball.
Basketball.
Well, they used to play the playoff bowl. The Cowboys played in the 1965 playoff bowl,
Well, that was a
which was a
one-year
consolation.
deal, right?
You're right.
Wow. When?
In 1965, in the last game of the year, if you look in the media guides, the playoff bowl, I think it was against Baltimore.
You were
So it was-
you were
you would-
working that day?
Yeah, right. But season was over, and I guess Cowboys, whoever they lost to that year, I think it was 65 season.
Because somebody tried to mention that was their first playoff game. It's like, no, that was
and
not.
so
a
there was like a consolation bowl game. Of course, you think about the concept of college bowl games and
Yes.
stuff, and actually college football was more popular than professional football back then, and so
why-
we'll go to a bowl game.
That's shown on the fight song.
Yeah, that's right.
You mean you didn't go to it? 1965?
No, sir, I did not. No.
I
After
didn't either.
that 7-7 season.
Yeah. So, all right. So here we are. We've got, there's one, we'll spend a bulk of this show talking about what happened on Friday.
Might as well
here.
start.
Because Everson Walls was a part of it. And it was a big day here behind the scenes because former players like Everson Walls were in the house, not just for a little bit, but the opportunity to spend the day here, basically, right?
Yeah, and when I first saw the schedule, I was like, God damn, it's a long day, you know.
So they had an itinerary for you and
They had
everything.
an itinerary. It felt like we were part of the team, and you know that was the field that they went for, and that was the field that we got.
Give us an idea first on who all was here.
Man, Tony Dorsett, Randy White, Drew Pearson, Timmy Newsom. Who else? Michael
Lilly.
Irvin. Michael Irvin was it? Who was that?
Bob Lilly.
Bob
Lilly was
Lilly, man. Yeah, Randy brought Bob with him.
I've counted
Randy,
5 Hall of Famers
Randy
there.
brought Bob with him. That was pretty cool. So, you know, just
That's
think about that ride to the.
Then he drove him home and came back. By the
Wow.
way, Randy did. Yeah.
Thomas Hollywood Henderson.
I saw that. Yeah.
Crazy. He's lost a lot of weight. Looks real good.
Haley was here, of course.
Yeah, Charles.
right.
Dressed better than I've ever seen him dress.
Yes.
He
What was the
on there.
deal?
I don't know, man. It was scary.
You have a suit on?
No,
No,
yeah,
no.
cowboy boots.
But he did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, really cool
Maybe
boots.
even long pants.
Yeah, and he was like walking upright. It was crazy.
I saw Brady James, Rocket Ishmael, George Teague was here, and Camps was here. Dave
Hey,
Camp.
Dave Campo.
Fitzgerald, right?
Yes, Fitzy came in
Fitz
and
came in.
had a nice talk with him. Yeah, he was fired up about it because the last time he was here, I took him in the locker room and they wanted to chase us off because we were maybe bothered the players that weren't in there.
So about how many total would have been here?
Had to be maybe 35.
Okay. And these are guys that all had
At least 5 years.
5 years or more service.
5 years and more. I did not know that was a criteria at the time. I was calling Doug Donnelly, you know, why you're not here. He didn't know anything about it. Like, oops, sorry. But
He's only here 4 years?
well, here, but Chicago, 5th year.
Yeah.
So he's got 5 in.
Yeah.
Got 5 in.
I'll tell you what. He can tell you what happened in the meetings, but just running in,
Campo.
Yeah.
got up and
Coach
talked, right?
Campo.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Of
it's
course,
Campo,
right?
Yeah.
Come on,
But these guys were really fired up about it, and obviously this was, Brian Schottenheimer's idea to reconnect these guys that had success in this franchise with this current team. Just another step he's taking to not run from the Cowboys' history, but embrace it.
Yeah.
I'll throw out some other names. Producer Supreme just sent me.
Kevin Smith was
Pup,
Kevin Smith, Tony Casillas,
Tony.
Larry Cole.
yes. Well, wait, he was
Larry
the top
looks
of
good.
my list.
Yeah, Larry looks
Man, I had a long
Yeah,
talk
Larry,
with Larry Cole.
Larry always talks all the time.
Right?
Larry's cool. I like him.
Datwin. On the list.
Correct. Who also, still cool.
Yeah. Charlie Williams.
Charlie.
Hung out with Charlie
And you know
all
what?
day.
The cool thing is they allowed the guys
Tony Dixon.
to bring their families with them. Like Tony Dorsett, Anthony was with them.
And Anthony Jr.
Yeah, and
Wow.
that's right. Yes, John Fitzgerald had his wife with him, his son,
Represented with the
wife,
jersey on, had the jersey on.
grandchildren. It was really neat that they got to bring their families along too.
Okay, so tell us about your itinerary. What you got here, and then what happened?
First, we assembled in the big meeting room. As soon as you walk in, there's a basketball goal. There's a
Yes.
basketball goal.
This is in the team meeting room, or where?
Team meeting room.
Okay.
The team meeting room. It's a basketball goal. And that was weird. So a lot of energy was in there. Guys were.
And so just former players and current players.
Well, the
were in
current
meeting?
players were already in there.
Okay, and
And
then
sitting
y'all
down,
came in.
and then we came in. A lot of us were just kind of content with just standing along the wall and just checking it out. And then they, sit down, go ahead and sit down. And, just a lot of energy in there, like I said. So Coach was running things, Shotty was running things. And, man, he's energetic. He's energetic. At least at that moment, he had the guys in there, a lot of noise. And they were extremely receptive during the, shuffling of sitting down and everything like that. So everybody made a point all the current players made a point to shake hands with us that were along the wall. We eventually went and sat down. A lot of teasing going on, so they started off with a shooting contest.
Okay, that's why the basketball goes in there.
Well, I think it's been in there.
No, it's been.
It's in there. It's
Yeah.
part of the.
Yeah.
It's
they
a
do.
staple.
But then, I guess that's how they start meetings.
Okay.
And so they started with a couple of the players, and Sam Williams, if I'm not mistaken, and somebody else, Sam One, if I'm not mistaken. So
Okay.
then they picked 2 legends.
Okay, shoot free throws.
It was the linebacker. You just called his name.
Brady James.
Brady James and Looney,
Joe Looney.
of course.
Is his hair still real big?
Yeah, man, it was all up. Yeah, he didn't care. And Looney won. Yeah, James was he shot
How many free throws they shoot?
horrible ever. How many free? They had
Like,
some what? I can't remember how many seconds. Maybe.
it's in 30
Like
seconds.
30
How many
seconds.
you can make in 30 seconds? That's what I heard.
James made.
Yeah, that's
he
right.
made 1 at the buzzer.
Okay.
So, yeah, he lost.
Okay.
Totally got him.
All right.
So,
And
go ahead.
then he called out all our names, which was very cool. And, you just don't, I think with me as well, as we get so old, do they know us? You just don't know. These
Depends
guys got
whether you're on
a lot of
YouTube or
stuff
not.
a lot of stuff going on.
If you're on TikTok, they would know you.
Yeah, there you go. And we're not. And so, you wonder if they're surprised at the names, if they recognize anything, because once we left there after getting a welcome from us, we all stood up, and the guys, man, they really did. They gave us a lot of love. It wasn't stiff in there at all. And then as we broke into the different rooms.
You went into the position meeting,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, back in the big team meeting room.
Yeah.
Did they go about their normal business? Then you were able to eavesdrop on that. Basically, you were in on that, and so did you get to feel this is what they normally do, and they go over some of the stuff that they normally do?
Well, yeah, it was very brief because we were the business.
Right, okay.
You see
You
what
were
I'm
the
saying?
business of the
Yeah, so that part, I almost
Okay.
didn't exist. We were the business.
Okay.
And so once he, called the names out and talked to us about, teamwork and things of that nature and how, close our era was, he got a little emotional about Bob Lilly and Randy coming. You guys are, they're not in the best shape, and, you got that kind of history going on right there in front of you. And, they're still like back in the day. So that's the connection that he was saying that was evident here that should be evident everywhere, basically. That's the way I took it. And, I don't know, he got a little emotional at that time. And so some guys stood up and just had statements, legends. Some legends stood up and had statements. And most of them just talked about what you would do if you could talk to yourself when you were back with the Cowboys.
Okay.
That was the legends. And that would be the
What advice would you give your 24-year-old self?
Which is that means that the current players would have to take, also get something from that. And so, a lot of guys stood up and made some statements and things of that nature in that full meeting room. Full meeting room, I believe that was the last exercise there. After Shadi said some things and we broke, we went into each room and we also kind of did it again. We introduced ourselves.
Now you're in the
Those are the ones that didn't. Some didn't, like myself. I didn't say
Yeah.
anything in the big room. So now we're in the
now you're position
room.
meetings. Okay.
And we did the same thing there. Coaches, all in there. I'm so horrible with names. I don't even know the DB coaches' names, but you can just tell. You can tell by the language that they use and how loosely that they use it, that even if you don't necessarily go out and perform it perfectly, everyone was on the same page. That's always good. When you go into a meeting room and you can see that kind of connection, that's always good. So that means that they have progressed to a point to where there's unity. Everyone is in unison in regards to what we're talking about here on the board because they actually started running the film.
And of course, you got Andre Curtis in that room, and David Overstreet Jr. as well.
Yeah.
So
Coaches in there.
Larry Cole told me that when he was in the position meeting room, defensive lineman, so the defensive line coach, Aaron Whitecotton, had been with the Jets previously and now here. He said, man, he goes, that guy was impressive. And I go, what stood out? He goes, I don't know, but he reminded me of Ernie Stoughton.
Yeah, man. That's crazy.
And I'm going, all right, that's quite a compliment, right?
You know, when you work with the Jets, you got some old school in you, definitely. Matter of fact, I'm sorry, I skipped it. Like now, of course, once we got in and we introduced ourselves officially one at a time in the position room, instead of your name just being called out by the head coach, that's when everyone had a chance to say something a little bit more intimate in the group. And of course, I'm the oldest freaking dude in the room, except for Campo.
Okay, so Campo would have gone to the secondary room.
Yeah. Oh no, Campo was so cool. And so Campo, of course, he went, and I went last, and it felt weird.
I'm surprised that there was time for you to talk if Campo went
Hey,
first.
man. Well, you know what happened? He spoke in the big meeting room as well. So then he spoke here. So see, he kind of chopped that up.
And speaking of Campo, when I was talking to him, he said, yeah, he goes, you know, when I got up to say something, I said, no, check this out. He goes, Randy White and Bob Lilly, they didn't play with each other. They weren't teammates, but they hooked together because they were Dallas Cowboys, and he went and picked him up.
As the heir apparent.
And
it was the heir apparent.
Yeah, and brought him here and took him back home. He goes, that's what teammates do. That's what guys that
Here we are.
What
And
you're
that's
doing right now.
That's where Shady got emotional right there.
Yeah.
He had me fooled.
I mean, we're talking more than 50 years after Bob Lilly ended his career. And
74 would have been his
and there's the
last
connection. Passes the Hall of Fame baton on to Randy White, basically. And here we are, 50 years later. After
I felt funny introducing myself. I really did. I kind of wanted to over-explain who I was. You know what I'm saying?
You should have said, Trayvon Diggs isn't here, but he tied me.
Should I have to tell them? Should they know?
I would imagine rookies probably don't know.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
I just.
Dak.
I think I said something like I got a few picks when I was here, and I kept moving on because I wanted, and I did talk to him about, how I hated why people can be pigeonholed. Somebody tell you what you can't do, and so that was my main goal. Cowboys full of people like myself. That's what we do.
Right.
That was our. That's our. What they call it? That's our tradition. That's our culture. Is guys overachieving, according to the numbers. So I want to make sure that they understood that because
you needed me in there to introduce you.
I can hear you be like in a boxing match.
I was actually thinking about this on the drive in. Because I was thinking, okay, for Everson, all right, it's 1989, your last year here, and Jimmy's first year here. Correct. Okay, I was thinking, if Everson was a Jimmy guy, okay, if you had played for Jimmy in college, either at Miami, or let's take it to your
let's
time
say if
frame,
I would have stayed here longer with Jimmy.
Yeah. But he didn't really know what you're all about. No. Coming in when he comes in here and it's 1989. But if you had played for him at Oklahoma State or whatever, okay, and so he knew what you were all about, I'm thinking he probably would not had an issue with your fraternizing after a game.
Right.
He would understand your value, okay, for a young team as well.
It would be inherent. He wouldn't have to learn about it. He would already,
That's right.
when he got here.
And if you just look at the dynamics, the chemistry of a team, when you had a younger team coming in, you got veterans, whatever, you might have stayed here through the early years and been a part of Super Bowl teams here because you played until 93.
Correct.
And so you could have played with the Cowboys in 92, 93. And
may have kept on going.
And a couple of Super Bowl rings.
Yeah.
And then your legacy here would have been totally different.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drew Pearson was.
Well, now you get caught between
And I would have explained that to the team.
You get caught between when you get caught between owners.
That's right.
And then you get that has a lot to do with it as well.
And you got your
lost
Super
in
Bowl
transition a little bit
in a different place, but it's not the same.
And that didn't help either.
Yeah, I mean, you would for sure be in the Ring of Honor.
But that's where it was weird. Just like I said, did they know about? I was the one Trayvon was chasing. I didn't bring that up. But once again, I wanted them to understand that, don't let them write the narrative. That's what we do here. I am not unique. I don't care where you've been drafted, signed. It doesn't really matter. Brought up Bill Bates. So Charlie Williams brought up the importance of special teams. I mean, and he was right. Sounded like you. It sounded like sitting here with Spags. He said, hey, if you're not, if you have if it's two guys, number 3 DBs, and one of you guys are good at special teams, you're going to beat out that guy if he's not playing special teams. So it was little nuggets for these guys, which, when I was a kid, I know I did listen because I was a Cowboy fan. When Mel Renfro came in there, I'm like, whoa.
You knew who that was.
Yeah. With these guys, I guess, once again, the reception was amazing. But, what's really sinking in for them? And I wanted to make sure that they understood. And I had to be transparent. During my words, I let Ravel know that, his style was just like mine. I just couldn't help it. I said, so everything's recycling. I mean, right now he's hurt, but just talking about how, his story and how he came back, So that's what we're made of here.
And by the way, if you go back and listen to last week's show, we talked with Everson about he was looking at highlights of Savone Revel, and he was saying, he looks like me.
Yeah.
So go back and listen to that.
And
I literally talked to him about it face to face as well.
And if you think about it, they probably understood the guys maybe in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if they would have recognized Bob Lilly, but maybe Randy White, Drew Pearson for sure. Did Drew get up and talk, or did?
Of course.
Yeah. And Haley was there.
You could have asked, did Drew breathe?
Right. And then afterwards, I watched, and of course Michael got the wide receivers together right after practice, and he's showing them stuff, and even Haley was out there with the defensive linemen too.
Let's talk more about that, because Michael had a YouTube video, and he was talking about the day, and I want to talk about some of the things he talked about with you when we continue in a moment. And we got some breaking news from around the NFL that one of the top offensive lines in football appears to be taking a hit with a retirement announcement when we come back here on Big Shots.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
How do you tell the world about all the great gifts in the Yeti store? Let her rip, Troy.
All right, folks, let's get started with the Yeti French Press. Enjoy coffee that stays hot for hours in a French press. 34 ounce for you, 6'4" for the cruise. The Yeti French Press. Hot mix waterproof bags. Bags waterproof. Submersible waterproof doubles. Waterproof bags. World's mostly water, so get a waterproof Yeti bag. Do I smell something cooking? Oh, new cast iron skillets made to be passed down like Mama's recipes. Take your steak, cornbread, cobbler's pot pie, and potatoes next level with 3 sizes of Yeti cast iron skillets.
Gear, gifts, and product experts. Visit the Yeti store on McKinney Street and at South Lake Town Square today.
Hey, Cowboy fans, I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But lately, I've been learning a new game, crypto. Sound confusing? Don't worry, even us pros were rookies in crypto once. That's why I trust blockchain.com. They make crypto easy. No confusing jargon, just the tools to help you win.
Prescott keeps it, slides with a first down.
Invest like your icons, where everyone is a rookie in crypto with blockchain.com.
Perfect throw, my goodness. Wow, did he ever thread the needle?
Visit blockchain.com/cowboys to get started.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Back to Mick Shots.
Cowboys Nation, the Dallas Cowboys schedule is officially here and limited tickets are available now. Get ready to bring the noise as you watch the Cowboys live at AT&T Stadium when they host NFC East rivals Eagles, Giants, and Commanders, plus the Packers, Chiefs, Chargers, Vikings, and Cardinals. Visit DallasCowboys.com/tickets or SeatGeek.com, the official primary ticketing partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, more on what happened on Friday with the former players here in just a moment, but here is the breaking news in the NFL. The Lions All-Pro and Pro Bowl center Frank Ragnow has informed the team he plans to retire. He posted a message on Instagram. Frank Ragnow saying these past couple of months have been very trying as I've come to the realization that my football journey is ending and I'm officially retiring from the NFL. Try to convince myself that I'm feeling good, but I'm not, and it's time to prioritize my health and my family's future. He just turned 29 on May 17th. And had 2 years left on a 4-year, $54 million contract that he signed a couple of years ago. Former first-round draft pick out of Arkansas. And that's a big hit for the Lions offensive line. They did draft a guard, Tate Ratledge, out of Georgia in the second round, and a guard out of LSU, Miles Frazier, in the fifth round. I suspect they sense that this might be coming. And now that we're post June 1st, the announcement comes, and they can take some of that money and it can be over the next couple of years. The salary cap hit.
By the way, Bill, that Hall of Fame class is going to be pretty unbelievable in 5 years. Think about it. Zach Martin retires, Tyron Smith, Ragnow.
Well, am I making too much of this? What's happening? I mean, what happened? What is he okay?
I'm not sure what specific injuries that he's dealing with.
I mean, y'all gotta be,
29. That's pretty soon.
That's okay. I don't know. It seems like kind of hasty, right? Nobody, just me?
He came into the league in 2018, 20th pick overall. So what is it, 7 years in the league?
7
or 8 years. Yep. And so there you go.
All right.
Great investigation, Bill. That's
4-time Pro Bowler. And so I'm thinking the Hall of Fame is going to wait on Frank Ragnow for a while. Take nothing away from him, but
Well, that's why where's the longevity? That's what I'm talking about. If he comes,
96 games played in the league. It's a tough game to play, as you know.
Yeah.
So the last thing you guys did you stay for your barbecue lunch?
I did. Yes. Yeah, man, good time.
So Kevin Bledsoe is the pit master. And the last 2 years, he came to training camp and cooked for the guys. So he's the one that they pulled in the big smoker or whatever.
Man, that was nice.
And
that was a beautiful smoker.
The first year he came, he has restaurants in the L.A. area. He's out there, but he's got one here in Corsicana. He is the biggest Cowboys fan you've ever seen. We started talking, and he knew all about these guys, you guys that were there, right? And had a great conversation with them. And I remember when he came 2 years ago, he brought his cookbook, and I got one, right? It's autographed and everything. And I told him, I said, I want you to know I used your drunken brisket recipe. He goes, I said, you know, the one you said where you don't want to get up at 3 in the morning and start your brisket going so you can eat it that night. You had your method of starting it and then shutting it down, go to bed, and then wake up at 7 or 8 in the morning and just finish it off in the oven. I said, it worked great.
Yeah.
But he was there, and he was enjoying
That was a great. It was
thing.
his smoker was a beautiful blue color.
Yeah.
Cowboy blue color.
Yeah, he's and he said he's going to be there again.
You were saying something about Drew Pearson. We cut you off on the last break. Do you remember what you were going to say?
Drew Pearson.
When we were talking.
No, I asked if he talked.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm sure he did. But people would have, I know what it was. You know, Drew, same as you, right? Undrafted.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
We were the only ones at the table at one point. One of the employees came up and, oh, God, look at this.
No, but my point was there was so many Hall of Famers there. You know?
I'm assuming that employee was undrafted too, so there were 3 undrafted people there.
Exactly. But only 2 of them were legends. But no, it was, it wasn't really a bunch of preaching. You know, nobody got carried away.
Yeah.
Michael didn't talk to the group, right?
He did not.
And so there wasn't preaching. There wasn't preaching until he got out on the practice field. And before we get away from it too far, because you challenged me to come up with injury history for Frank Ragnow.
Okay.
So here is his injury history.
Okay.
2020 fractured throat.
Ugh. Golly.
That makes me hurt.
Jeez.
Fractured throat during a game against the Packers.
Way to lead off.
And he played the rest of the game with a fractured throat. 21, a severe turf toe injury.
That causes retirement right there.
22, a groin injury. 23, knee and ankle injuries, along with an inoperable toe injury.
Let's see.
Okay, 24, get this, September of last season, he partially tore a pectoral muscle during a game against the Arizona Cardinals. He missed 1 game the following week and played the rest of the season with a partially torn pec and also dealing with the toe injury. And we ask why he's retiring. I think we now know why he's retiring.
I bet if I was going to break it down, it'd be the toe.
Yeah.
Because they took Deion's career. And everybody thought he was invincible.
They just hope he doesn't have the same lingering
It's like an Achilles
issues that Deion has had with his toe.
Like an Achilles heel. Have the Sanders toe.
All right.
What did Randy Galloway nickname him? 4-toe or something like that?
No, that's not funny, man. Come on, bro. See, you're going to get in trouble. But now, like I said, not a bunch of preaching.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Guys got up, said what they had to say, and it was cool to hear, because I was on the level below most of the legends in the position room. And, Dixon and Campo and Charlie, they were just, talking lingo. And so it was pretty cool.
Now, Michael said when he got in the position group meeting room with the wide receivers that Junior Adams, the wide receiver coach, had them get up on the board. I mean, they were doing what they regularly do, I think, in their position group meetings, and they were reviewing some of the things they've already installed, and so they were getting called at random, impromptu, come up and draw up plays. Not only, and Michael was talking about how when I played, I just knew what I had to do on the play. I didn't know what everyone else was doing. Running back was doing, the tight end was doing all this, and they had to know what everybody's doing. And so with pressure on, with everybody in the room, including former players in the room watching, then they had to get up on the board and draw up plays. And so CD came up, and then I can't remember, it may have been Mingo was the other one who came up, and he said that they both aced the test. But those are, it's an insight into what goes on during these OTAs. And I was thinking about it really especially for new players, for rookies coming in, or even guys that are here for the first time, like in the wide receiver room, Paris Campbell, Jonathan Mingo, it's his first time in the offseason here where the coach, and with a new position coach, he's learning how these players learn, where they are in learning the offense, and really they are positioning themselves for playing time right now because the coaches are sitting here figuring out how can he retain information? How do I need to teach him, instruct him on different stuff? And a lot of the playing time for the season might be determined with what's going on during these OTAs, just mentally what they can handle.
Well, what we learned was something similar to what Tom Landry did. Tom Landry would play the formation at certain times. And we hated the defensive call. It's called 31 safety zone. And no one ever understands this when I break it down to them. But it goes from a zone to a man-to-man, depending on what the backs do. That's freaking impossible to do as secondary. You go from a freaking zone to man-to-man with no help. Depending on what freaking running backs are doing back in the backfield. So I got to look way back in the freaking backfield while this guy is running at me who runs probably a 4.3. So, oh, my God. So, anyway, but we played that because Los Angeles Rams, Billy Waddy, that play call was called the quarterback pass. So when we see that formation and that play action, we immediately go to what the strength of that play. They could change up the play if they want to, which they did. But that play was a successful play for everyone back then. So now when the Cowboys see in the secondary a particular compacted or condensed formation, they play for crossing routes coming, not to be necessarily picked up by who you would think, but someone who is playing for that route to come all the way across over here. So playing the formation. I never did like that because now they know you're playing the formation. All they have to do is adjust one route, which if you have a 4-7 guy out there at cornerback from somewhere like Grambling State, everyone's going to say, hey, let's not run what's predicated. Let's go ahead and change it up because we're going to have all day to throw on this slow cornerback. So we had to suffer with that adjustment, but we just played the percentages. So that was a similar thing that they did that we were doing at the time. Pretty interesting.
No comment, Mickey?
No. I was thinking he needs to do that commercial with Mike Singletary.
What's that?
There's a radio commercial, and somebody says, well, you make the call, and he made a defensive call, and it was really long, right? and the gag was now what happens when your air conditioning comes.
Right.
And that's easy.
The AC commercial. Yeah, the AC guys. Yeah, the AC guys. I know.
But Mickey, you said you saw or you heard that Michael was out on the field.
Oh, yes, he was.
Coaching
and he was out there with the wide receivers and Haley with the defensive ends, and they were coaching. I mean, they were kind of showing them things.
They look good, bro. They look good.
But
offense looks real good.
People were
really. Oh, well, that's what we need to hear from you.
Man, they look good.
We need to hear that. Okay,
we saw
when we come back,
and they watch practice.
When we come back here, because let me tell you,
we'll talk about that.
Michael on his YouTube. He and we know where Michael was in the whole coach search. Okay, we just talked about the guy that he wanted to be the head coach here. Okay, with the toe injury.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what Michael said about his impressions of Schottenheimer and what he thought about his day here and how his outlook for 2025 has changed. And we'll hear what Everson has to say when we come back here on Mix Shots.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Hey, Cowboy fans, I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But lately, I've been learning a new game, crypto. Sound confusing? Don't worry, even us pros were rookies in crypto once. That's why I trust blockchain.com. They make crypto easy. No confusing jargon, just the tools to help you win.
Prescott keeps it, slides with a first down.
Invest like your icons, where everyone is a rookie in crypto with blockchain.com.
Perfect throw, my goodness. Wow, did he ever thread the needle.
Visit blockchain.com/Cowboys to get started.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Cowboys football and Miller Lite. What a pairing. Can cracks at kickoff. Tailgates going way past postgame. Sunday night overtimes followed by Monday morning swagger. Brisket in the smoker. Miller Lite in the cooler. America's team playing America's greatest sport. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Mick Shots.
This summer, step on the field with the Dallas Cowboys youth football and dance camps presented by Invisalign. Athletes of all skill levels, ages 6 to 16, are invited to learn from former NFL players and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders at Ford Center at the Star in Frisco. Campers have a chance to learn technical skills and lessons on teamwork as well. Visit dallascowboys.com/camps to learn more.
All right, we've saved the best for last here on this edition of Big Shots as we go back to Everson's field trip to the Star on Friday. And what he saw at the zoo.
Bring your former player to work.
Oh, my God.
Now, Michael Irvin, on his YouTube video, one of the things he said is, at the conclusion of his 29-minute dissertation on
God, don't say
what happened, he said, we're going to shock some of you jokers. We are going to shock the world. The world. He said that with the way the line's looking, he is really excited about this season. And for some of you who are sleeping, we're going to be creeping.
I like that. That's funny. He said that?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
And so this is a guy who was touting his buddy Dion to be the head coach of this team.
I did not know that.
And he had his doubts about Schottenheimer. And Schottenheimer in one day in that meeting room and out on that practice field and what he's putting together as far as the culture with this team, he has won him over, and he thinks that the Cowboys are going to shock the world this year. What do you come away with?
What was the oddest thing about someone's appearance that weekend?
The oddest thing about someone?
I kind of tricked you on the phrasing of the question, but
odd that they were there or what they looked like.
Odd that they were there or not there.
You mean as far as former players being there? That Michael was there?
No.
Oh, no.
Jerry Jones.
Oh.
He was not.
Oh, okay.
No, he walked out to practice.
He did. I didn't see.
But he wasn't in the team meeting room.
Yeah.
He did.
He wouldn't.
But he walked out to practice.
But he was not. He didn't have a presence there.
In the meeting room.
Yeah.
Which meant to you?
Letting coach have it.
Okay.
Letting him do his thing. You know, be under control. I'm not looking over your shoulder. That's the guys. That's the locker room.
Yeah.
That's the locker room. I didn't even realize it until I'm like, oh damn, Jerry wasn't there. You know, and it. No offense, you know, of course, Jerry's team, but when Jerry comes there, it's not a football team, just team. You know, when Jerry's there, that's the owner, that's the boss. It's the difference.
Yep.
But when just the team is there, then that's just the team. And that's the feel that I had without even realizing until I just noticed that he was not there. I thought that made a big difference in the flow and the feeling of the closeness in the locker room.
You know, one of the things that Michael talked about, the kind of the theme of his takeaway was, as he put it, there's competition in that meeting room with the basketball goalie, okay?
Yeah.
Competition under pressure
Yeah.
is the way he put it. And it was even in the position group meeting when you're getting CD up on the board and then you're getting Mingo up on the board and nobody knows they're going to get called. So they've got to be prepared when they come to work, whether it's the head coach or the assistant coaches. They're all working the same way to make sure that everybody is engaged in the entire process and where you can't mail it in on a given day.
That's right. And I really enjoyed watching the film. I did not think I would because that's like I said, I saw the itinerary. Like, oh my God, we got to watch film. Jeez, they really dragging this thing out. But no, it was very interesting. And I came away, and I know it's just practice, guys. I know it's just practice, but I saw, first of all, offensively, man, Dak, CD, and Pickens, they look real good. That's on video and on that Friday. So that was that Thursday and Friday. And they were not jogging it. This is, the timing was supposed to be there. You felt a little comfortable because there was no rush or anything. I understand that. But the precise connection that you had, not with just CD, but also with Pickens, it was evident on the video and out on the field, but especially on the video itself because you had the entire team out there on that one, and you still could see the connection coming through. It wasn't 7-on-7. And while I was watching that, you're looking at the DBs and see how they're being coached. And so I'm trying to figure, guy number 20, I guess it was number 20, Kyer
Elam.
Man, my man's quick.
Well, he's a first-round draft choice.
Quick.
He just fell out of favor in Buffalo.
He did so well, not just in being in the right place, but it was natural the way that the technique came to him. He didn't have to work it. He wasn't stiff. He wasn't step 1, 2, step 1. No, he naturally fell into the defense, the strength of it, and also the positioning that he was supposed to have. Every time he was critiqued for doing something well.
See, and he's one of the guys, so it would have been a week ago, I wrote about guys needing to, we always talk about next guy up.
Yeah, we talked, yeah.
And I talked about next step
I was thinking about that.
And he was one of them.
Yeah. He gets a little...
And he's getting the opportunity without Diggs here.
He sure did.
And there's a chance Diggs won't be ready for the start of the season. So
he looks like he's ready to take that next step because he was playing very good defense on the wide receivers, in position at all times. Right. And even Carson, right?
Kalen Carson,
he looked good on video.
And they're going to need him.
He looked really good.
Because we seem to forget and should not minimize the fact that Jordan Lewis is not here anymore. Somebody's got to play in the slot. And they have been using Bland in the slot at times, but then who's my outside guys if he's inside?
Well, they were playing, both those guys that I mentioned were playing outside, doing a very good job. And this wasn't walkthrough. These were guys making plays, being in position. And they're trying to show the guys. And see, this is how you know that some guys just don't retain things well. The way the coaches are coaching, I understand. They're trying to make them understand what the percentages are on certain formations. There's only so much that you can do, and they're trying to coach that in them. So it's not just knowing the defense, it's formation and route recognition.
So predicting what the percentage is that this is what this route's
We know it can change. We do know that. But the odds are you got to be ready for that. And so that to me gave me pause. That gave me pause.
So the other observation, I can't remember, did I say it in the break or not? The speed at running back was noticeable. Now, I know they're not tackling,
Right.
and I know that you got to run through every play to the goal line, right? But the speed at which those guys were moving, especially Williams, by the way.
Yeah.
Whatever he had lingering from his ACL, it sure doesn't look like it's there anymore, right? We knew Blue could run, right? Sanders can run. Marfa, even kind of impressive. He was the 7th-round pick, running back from Clemson. He's like 6'2". He's a big
nice.
Running back.
Yeah.
So again,
was your boy there?
Lipko.
Sorry.
Lipke.
We've been watching too much hockey.
I thought that was impressive. And then here's an observation from the locker room on Thursday when we were in there. Dak's sitting in his locker, visiting next door was George Pickens. And I got a better impression of Pickens just watching him interact with Dak and how easily he was speaking to some of the media guys there. There was no interview going on. We ended up talking college football. I didn't know that he grew up in Hoover, Alabama, which is right next door to Tuscaloosa, right? That's where the SEC office is, in Hoover. And he was talking about why he went to Georgia. And,
played against Jalen Tolbert's team in the state championship game.
Right,
I think.
yeah. And he was talking about guys in high school and where they were. I mean, he was just very easily conversing and talking SEC football with Dak. And I'm going, okay. I don't know if, sometimes when guys get there, we hear all the other stuff.
Yep.
And he seemed very relaxed and very knowledgeable about the game of football.
So I haven't been in the locker room. Where's Pickett's locker in relation
He
to
took,
Dak?
I think he's in, I thought he should be next to Dak.
Oh, that's
it's on that same side, but I think he was over there.
It's strategic where they place lockers.
Right. Well, there's a reason Parsons is on the other side of Dak for sure.
Yeah.
I think he's in DeMarcus Lawrence's locker, so he's got a prime spot at the end. But just talking with him, and same thing with Kenneth Murray. We started talking to him, and and I brought up to him. I said, one of the things, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but one of the things this team needs to improve on is their run defense. And I said, I'm assuming that's one of the reasons they brought you here. And he said,
"Way to steal my thunder, bro."
And basically, well, no, because you brought it up at the end of the show last week. And he said that the first thing, somebody asked him about Eberflus, and he said, "Oh no, I did." And he said, the first thing he talked to me is about stopping the run. And he must have said it 3 times during our conversation. And I'm sitting there going, and, after, I said, okay, I've written this before, but I'm going to write it again. Yeah. That 12 of 17 teams last year ran for at least 100 yards against the Cowboys. And 9 of them were losses out of 10. So the emphasis, obviously, in this in the defensive room, especially the front 7, is better be able to stop the run.
They're going to have to go somewhere else to get enough for that. They don't have enough right now. And I know with Michael Irvin's optimism, that's coming from an offensive standpoint.
Right.
We're going back to the way we were the year we lost to the Packers, going back to, offense, having to predicate the flow of the game for us. I don't like offense dictating our victories. And so they got to do something. They just have to do something. I got a lot of heart. Everybody got heart, but ain't nobody over 250, So just
so the position that needs to be that you're looking that needs to be upgraded to stop the run is which
what we call it one technique. One technique.
And they,
and that's a Mozzie's position.
Mozzie's got to take the next step.
Let's be real, guys. They weren't just. It wasn't just getting big guys in the middle. They were shutting guys down, walling us off, and getting around the outside as well. So you don't just have to do
They miss D-Law a lot.
See them.
And
you got to have.
I mean, we didn't.
So
talk
your
about
defensive ends need to be stout as well.
Right.
I know you got 240 over there, but he better be a damn good 240. The guy from Boston College. He better be a Dwight Freeney or whatever coming around.
That's why I was high on that Michael Williams, who went to San Francisco.
Right.
Who went the pick before the Cowboys picked, where people weren't.
You better come with some force, man.
Uh-huh.
You better come with some force
on the edge. And
yeah,
be able to
because you will be over there. A lot of times you'll be over there outnumbered because teams like that are good at shutting off the pursuit.
Well, maybe that's why.
And that happened to us a lot, especially against the New Orleans Saints. That's how they beat us all day long with that same action.
Maybe that's one of the reasons why they've got Murray, and it's hard to tell how everybody's lined up.
Mm-hmm.
He's been on the outside. Mm-hmm. I thought he was a middle guy. I don't know what he did.
He's at
C.
Athletically, he can play either.
And he led Tennessee with 95 tackles last year. Mm-hmm. He was the team leader, and he missed a couple games. But they've got him outside.
241 pounds.
Sanborn in the middle, and then Leofow.
They got to get some. We've seen it too many times.
And they can't count on Overstreet. And it sounded like, just talking to him, Thanksgiving might be his goal to get back. So as for big bodies,
they need to be agile as well. They need to be agile as well. I got to see some improvement from Nazi. I don't mean
Mozzie's going to be really important. And then if the guy they drafted in the 7th round, is it Toya? Is that how you say it? He's 340. Mm-hmm. So they got a big body in there. Now, can you play?
Damn, 340. What the heck? What? What is he going to do?
Well, this is the second straight year they've drafted a 340-pound.
342, excuse me.
So we can play with 10 men on the field when he's out there.
Well, they got Justin Rogers in last year's draft, who went away to Cincinnati and came back, and he's back now, and he's 338 pounds. Jeez. So, I mean, they've been throwing 7th-round picks at that position. We'll see.
But we don't need gimmicks, man. They got to play. We don't need gimmicks.
Yeah. But then when you're talking about that outside stuff, Micah Parsons got to understand he's got to play the run. His job is not to just shoot to the quarterback every time. He's got to be able to stand up against the run.
I must admit, he had a little more poise last year.
He did.
He had a little more poise last year.
A little more discipline on not just chasing sacks.
Yes.
Right?
So and under some tough conditions.
So you spent a day at practice, in meetings. What's Micah missing?
We really didn't look at Michael.
No, but I'm just saying in general, Micah. What Micah Parsons missing by not being here?
Oh, you mean that? I'm sorry. What he really kind of probably started. You know what I mean? Because that's the way it was. It was as if he was there. I'm pretty sure he's the one that kind of started all the energy.
Yeah, and the competition.
All of that. I'm pretty sure
he never met a game.
He had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
He wasn't there. He wasn't missed. He wasn't missed. So I think that's a good thing. He started it. The guys are carrying on and with the culture that he kind of contributed to, or maybe even created.
So you have no doubt Micah comes back in here and he's not going to miss him. Nobody's going to.
But players never really do that when a guy's kind of angling for a better contract, right? Mm-hmm. Players support the player's effort to do that.
And
but as far as building the team chemistry, that's happening whether Mike is here or not. And he'll fit right into it. Is that what you?
Yeah, that's
probably the meetings is probably most important that he's missing.
Well, I'm sure some of the younger guys kind of wanted to be inspired by him who are here, that just got here. But like I said, as far as the entire meeting room was concerned, I don't know what's happening in my linebacker room, but the entire meeting was concerned, he was not missed, and I don't mean that as a dig. Things went well without him. And good luck, and we'll see you when you get here. You know,
you sound like Schottenheimer. Schottenheimer's really rubbing off on you.
Is that what he said? That's funny. I did not know he said that. But now that I think, but that's the main thing. And I kept wanting to say, the camaraderie on the field, man, with Dak and CD and Pickens, man. I think I may have said it before. Man, it just really looks good.
Well, there was a play.
It's good to have. It's good they got their money. Everybody got their money. We're here. Everybody got their money, and we are. Well, what they say, 10 toes down. That's what the young kids say these days. They are here, and they are gelling. They're gelling. They're just gelling. I don't know. Maybe it's just an act, but.
Think about it last year, and the CD wasn't around.
That's what, and I said that to Dak when I shook his hand. Good to see you and CD working this offseason. Good to see you and CD working this offseason.
And there was a play in one of those practices where Pickens, it looked like the coverage was over to CD, and Pickens won. It would have been probably a touchdown. And the first guy celebrating was CD. Like, thank God.
And he runs over to him. He ran over to him. I saw that. He ran over to him, and they – whatever. And they walk back together.
Yeah.
They walk back together.
So that part of it, all this, how they're going to get along after I had that.
It's got to maintain.
With Pickens, yeah.
But it got maintained under tough conditions.
He's got some common sense, and I think that's a good thing.
Okay, both of you have been great showing up for these voluntary OTAs, these voluntary podcasts the last few months. Well, Everson, you missed some time too, but I got to tell you, next week,
yes,
it's mandatory.
Yes,
right. We'll be here.
Mandatory Mick shots next week.
I'll be here.
Okay,
I'll be here.
So we will see you again next.
And mandatory for you guys to be paying attention to us too.
There you go. Next Monday at 11 a.m. It's our mandatory minicamp pregame show of Mick Shots.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?